Okay, well, the Seabees were formed in March of 1942, and they were made up of construction people. And they used to take, contractors would go out overseas and they'd take their private citizens along with them. Well, when the war started, they could not take the people out into harm's way and that there, so under Ben Morrell, under the Civil Defense Department, started the Seabees. And so I went into the Seabees in January the 4th of 1943. I went down to Little Creek, West Virginia, Virginia, to do some training, and then we moved out of there and went up to Camp Allen, and then from Camp Allen went over to Camp Perry, which is north of Williamsburg, Virginia, and then I was sent up to the 70th Battalion up in Rhode Island, and I was with them about a week and got a leave for 7 days, and when we came back, then we shipped out of New Jersey and we went over to North Africa, and I was stationed at a town called Arzu, which is 25 miles east of Oran and right on the Mediterranean. And while we were there, I run crane most of the time, and we built pontoon causeways for the invasion of Sicily and Italy. And from my outfit, there were 15 people that participated into that. And then after 8 months being over there and back, we got home on Christmas Day, and so that was one of the best Christmas presents I could ever have. And so I went back into Rhode Island for more training, took up deep sea diving and learned to run a clam bucket on a crane. And then from there we went out to Livermore, California, and done more training, and then we left there in October of '44 and went to the Hawaiian Islands. And while we were there, we built pontoon causeways and barges. At the time, we didn't know what for, but it was for the invasion of Iwo Jima. And I loaded on an LST with 929, which was a house pillow LST, and we had Marines on it. And we went on the invasion of Iwo Jima February the 19th of 1945. And on the ship with me, I had the privilege, which I think was a highlight, of meeting a fellow by the name of Johnny Basilone. He was one of the first Marines to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor in World War II. But on Iwo, he got killed the first day there. And a lot of people said he didn't have to go back out because having a Congressional Medal of Honor, but he wanted more glory. So I spent 11 days there on Iwo. Most of the islands out in the Pacific had coral reefs, and the LSTs, which drew 9 foot of water, they could not get to the shore. And there's where we used our causeways put in front. We only drew 18 inches, put them in front of the LSTs so tanks and mobile equipment could run ashore. But there on Iwo, they had that volcano ash, and the LST and all them could run ashore, but then so they did not need our barges and stuff like that, haul supplies. But we did use one of the barges off the side of the LST because the small boats would bring the wounded Marines back to the barge, and then a crane picked them up and put them in the hole. I didn't run crane there, but when they brought the wounded up, I got a hold of stretcher and helped guide it over until they put it down into the hole. So I saw a lot of wounded Marines and things like that. So we were there on there 11 days, and then we went down to the Philippines and loaded up with Army fellows, and I went in on the invasion of Okinawa, April the 1st of 1945. There we launched our barges, and we carried supplies back and forth to the beach. And I spent 15 days there, and then we took our barges and went up on the invasion of Iwo Jima, which is an island off of Okinawa, and I spent 30 days on on that invasion, carrying supplies back and forth to the beach. And now when we took supplies into the beach, then when they were getting unloaded, we'd go out looking for souvenirs, and then we'd get any souvenirs, we'd go back out to a ship and we'd go to the galley, and we'd trade our souvenirs for food. So that's how we got our food while we were there at Iwo and Okinawa and out there in Iwo Jima. And so while we were out one time and saw, looking for souvenirs, I saw the spot where Ernie Pyle got killed. And then a couple days after that, my buddy and I were out looking for souvenirs, and we run up by a tree, which we were about 40 foot from it, and there was 3 Army guys underneath this tree. And so we got up there, and all of a sudden they hollered hand grenade. Well, we turned around and a hand grenade went off, and then we started shooting up into this tree. By this time, 4 more Army guys came by, and we didn't get nobody to shoot back at us. So then one fellow was still moaning up there, and it was like a bird's nest in this tree. I crawled up another tree, and I couldn't see down in the nest, and so I shot 3 shells in before I stopped the moaning in there. So you read today where Iraq, where they want to crucify these people for killing a Iraqian that moved or something like that. And when I went into service, we were told, the Japanese, the Germans, and the Italians are your enemy. You either kill them or they're going to kill you. So nobody was going to take a chance to crawl up into that tree to see if the guy was faking it, and then you get up there, another hand grenade would be on, you'd lose your life. But then many a times I look back, and that tree was about 100 or 1,000 yards from the spot where Ernie Pyle got killed. So sometimes I think maybe I might have helped kill the sniper that killed Ernie Pyle. And then after finished up there on Iwo Jima, we went back to Guam, which was our main base there, and then we built pontoon causeways and barges for another invasion, and I helped build Quonset huts where the pilots lived in there too. And but then 4 days before they dropped the atomic bomb, I had loaded on another LST, and I was slated for the invasion of Japan. And so this day I thank Harry Truman many a days for using the bomb, because maybe I wouldn't be here talking to you today. And in 1995, the 50th anniversary of the bomb, and just like here now, this August here is the anniversary of it again when it was used. In that article it stated that the first bomb killed over 100,000 Japanese, the second bomb killed over 70,000. And if that invasion would have went through, then they'd have been over 1 million Americans and Japanese killed. So really the bomb saved lots of lives. And it was just like I was watching TV probably about 6 months ago, and this fellow had wrote a book, and he was telling about his dad was on a ship going through the Mediterranean, was slated for the invasion of Japan, and he says, if that went through, maybe I wouldn't be here today talking to you. And he mentioned about out in Branson, Missouri, there's a Japanese soldier, Fiddler. And in the middle of his show, one time he stopped his show and he says, I understand that we have a celebrity here in the crowd tonight. And he said, my mother and dad was told that the Americans are savages, that you'll have to fight to your death. If you don't, they're going to kill you. And he says, I know my father and mother would have fought to their death if the invasion went through. And he says, I want to thank you, because if that invasion went through, I probably wouldn't be standing here today. So it worked on both sides of the fence, saved American lives and saved Japanese lives. I got out of the service in January the 14th of 1946. I spent 3 years and 2 weeks And out of that, 2 years of it was overseas duty, like 8 months in Africa and 16 out in the Pacific. And now the Seabees, they go by islands. We don't go like Post 12, this like American Legion and a VFW. So we go by islands, and there is an island X8 here in Youngstown, and I was commander of the island for about 2 years, and they have a state convention every year here too. They have an island in Akron. They have in Cleveland, Toledo, here Youngstown, Dayton, Cincinnati, around the state, and then the nationals have conventions every year too.